Hey, good morning. This is Henry Kramer, 605 Chaser, and welcome to the show. Let's go ahead and break down things for you. At this point, what we've got is a ton of flooding, flash flooding that's going on for at least the next 4 hours, 30 minutes in areas of Des Moines, Iowa City. Even Cedar Rapids is getting in on some of that not so great rain. Slow movers of these systems are going to continue to bog down areas of the Ohio River Valley for over the next couple of days. Now, what do we have going on in areas of South Dakota? We do have just along the southern edge of North Dakota and northern edge of South Dakota, Lemon, South Dakota here. We do have some training thunderstorms, but non-severe. We also do expect areas of Pierre to really ramp up today, as well as way out here into areas of Maine again. We're expecting storms to really get going there. Let's go ahead and take a look at our satellite imagery, and we'll be able to kind of show you where everything is really ramping up as far as cloud cover goes. So these are those storms that are kind of brewing up here. If I'll put this into play here for you, you'll be able to see this a little bit better. We've got those clouds trying to tower already up by Dickinson and Bismarck areas, even Pierre. But it's gonna be a little bit tricky and conditional. And let's kind of break it down here for you a little bit more. I'll show you the categorical outlook here. If we shut off the satellite imagery here, we'll be able to see that. Let's go ahead and take a look. Slight risk right here from Bismarck down to the Pierre area, even as far south as like the Chamberlain area. Slight risk means 2-inch hail possible, 1 to 2 inch hail possible. We also have more organized storms that are possible later today. As you can see, the live look here over in Aberdeen area, not too much in the way of severe weather. Uh, this right here, 41 degrees and 41 dew point. Yeah, that monitor in Gettysburg is definitely wrong. Not sure what happened there, but anyhow, 66 in Pierre with a 64 dew point. That's hence the reason those storms are already trying to fire up. Again, other areas of concern would be over in areas of like Charleston, West Virginia, Maysville, into areas of northeastern Kentucky, Indianapolis, Springfield. Let's take a look and see more specifically what we got going on. So the tornado risk, there's a few different areas that are concerns. Areas up in Boston, let's go ahead and take a look at that first. And we'll take a look at HRRR, see what that is showing at this point, and then we'll move on over to the plain states, and that'll help you kind of really get a pretty good idea of where I believe storms are going to be much more prevalent as we go through the day. There it is, early time afternoon storms in areas by Albany, Springfield, Hartford, Connecticut area, and you can see they are pretty scattered, but they're isolated enough that they could end up dropping a tornado in some of these areas. Let me go ahead and take a look at the storm prediction or the significant tornado parameter numbers, as we always try to do whenever there's a tornado risk. And let me see, it's a low risk. It's 2%, so very low risk. But if anything's going to happen, it's going to be between that 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. time frame, and then it's going to be pretty much out of here. So not too bad there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the risks over by the Indianapolis and Bloomington area. See the timing on that. This is going to be fairly later in the day. We got afternoon storms here, Springfield, Urbana, Bloomington, Peoria. Uh, that's when we see the risk right here north of Springfield, sometime around between that 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. time frame is when things really try to ramp up. That doesn't mean that it's going to be all over, done and over with by then, but it certainly does show the significant tornado parameters right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at max updraft helicity, get the timing figured out. If I was to chase here, where would I go? Let's take a look here, back this up a little bit. Well, this does look like it's going to be something that'll be interesting. Um, this is suggesting that hail threat really widens out. But 4 o'clock again over by Urbana, the hail threat there. We'll go back over to the Plain States. Let's take a look at the hail threat that we have here. This is going to be much later in the day and is conditional. So it's going to be a little tricky. We've got a few storms that could be firing off sometime early, and obviously that's already showing that as I showed you the radar loop in there. As we get through the day, doesn't show a whole lot until we get after 7 p.m. Really after 5, I would probably say. Let's go ahead and take a look at the significant tornado parameters. How prevalent does that look? Significant tornado parameters doesn't look that great until we get into, again, that 6 p.m. time frame, and it's very, very conditional. So if I was going to be chasing anywhere today, um, probably the area that I would be most concerned about would be over by the Springfield area, and that would pretty much it. There is that possibility up here, but I don't see. Let's take a look at max updraft helicity for the northeast coastline here and see what that was showing. That might be a little bit easier for us to do with this. What's best is typically to look at those two numbers, those two values, and kind of match them up a little bit. Doesn't look all that great over there, but again, HRRR has a tendency to change things um, a little bit. Let me go ahead and take a look at the same max updraft helicity with respect to the NAM3K, see what that shows. Sometimes that'll show things a little bit better. Again, that's going to be sometime in the early time frame, early afternoon. Let's take a look over here. Oh yeah, this would be probably where I'd be chasing. Areas here. There is a possibility for some of these storms to get brewing with some hail time there. Max updraft felicities as early as 3 o'clock according to this one. Let's take a look at significant tornado parameters. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and move this along a little bit further and see how more dominating this hail threat is. So this would probably be early on storms, central portion of South Dakota. Before dark, we could have these isolated risks right here. So if I was going to be in areas of South Dakota, these would be definitely chase worthy here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the significant tornado parameters with respect to the NAM3K and see what we have there. Back this up a little bit. Again, very conditional. So we see these numbers right here. Again, that area right here would be where I would be targeting, would be pure South Dakota. If I was chasing today, pure South Dakota, sometime later in the day, 5 p.m. or later would probably be the most prevalent time frame that I would be watching out. The area that I would really target, if I'm going to get this down a little bit further, gosh, there's not a whole lot of areas. I've got Highway 83 here, and then we got Highway 14. There's not many roads somewhere in here, so let me see if there's, so Kapa, that area of South Dakota. Really, I would try and position myself somewhere over here in that area, so that way I would be on the southwestern edge of that. But I also have to have multiple routes in and out, so it might end up being something that I would have to position myself over here by 83 and just kind of wait for things. But not going to be chasing today. I'm going to be hanging with my brother here in Sioux Falls area today. And again, this is going to be the main threat here as well. Springfield uh, would be, and then Jacksonville, this would be in Illinois. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other risks that we have for today. We do also have that wind threat. Even though that wind threat is pretty expansive, there are some isolated areas where you do have that, basically where the tornado risk is, where that wind risk is. 15% up here into the northeast portion of the U.S., and then again, areas like south of Columbus, areas of Kentucky are going to be in that wind threat. We also have up here Pierre and points northward have the biggest risk of that wind. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hail factor. Hail factor for today, we do have that all the way down to areas just north of Winter, South Dakota. Highmore, Miller, Pierre, Aberdeen, some of those areas, Bismarck, Jamestown, Carrington, those are kind of main areas of concern for the hail factor, and that's what we got there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at tomorrow's risks. And the reason why I want to take a look at tomorrow's risks is I think this is going to be more prevalent. One thing that we could take a look at with regards to tomorrow's risks is, if I can get to it, hold on one second. We can take a look at the surface space cape. Actually, let's look at 500 millibar wind, kind of see what's expected to have happen if we have any winds that are going to be able to help with the shear. So it looks like maybe very isolated. I don't think the tornado risk is going to be there. I don't think the tornado risk is going to be there tomorrow. Let's move this through a little bit further and we'd be able to see that. Move this along. As you can see, over in areas of Bismarck would probably be for today. Then that moves over to areas of Aberdeen, and that's where that wind threat kind of goes through for tomorrow, or late today. This is really showing it fairly early. So we'll have to see how that plays out. As we go into tomorrow, more of that risk over by the Jamestown, between Jamestown and Fargo. That's going to be some early time storms. And then it tries to ramp up in the overnight hours. So Bismarck, as you get into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on the 20, basically it'd be the 22nd, but tomorrow night into 22nd, that's when those storms will probably fire off. But again, it's going to be very conditional. That's why they only have a marginal risk for tomorrow, because it's going to be very conditional based on how those storms track through the state of North Dakota and South Dakota. And if they stick around a little time, then it's going to be a little hard for things to recycle through. Once we go to day 3, take a look at this. We have a much more wide area, and I'm not able to go too far out here, but on the 22nd here, as you can see, early time storms. So basically 21st to the 22nd. Um, Look at that. Jamestown area, Fargo, going to be hitting that pretty hard with that wind. Fergus Falls area will probably get impacted by some big time hail and some big time wind as you go early on the 22nd of July. So Tuesday morning could be pretty interesting for you folks there. Not sure how that's going to play out on the southern edge here, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I'll have another update here tomorrow for you. Anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other risks. We got the flood risk for today as well. Hydrological outlook. Big time risk here. This is a moderate risk for today. We do have a ton of rain that is going to be sweeping through these areas. This is a moderate risk in the red, and then we have in the yellow zone that is a slight risk, and then outside that marginal risk for excessive rainfall. What does that mean? Let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to be looking at um, 3 to 4 inch amounts in an hour, and local 8 inches of rain. So that's going to be pretty prevalent throughout that moderate risk area. And then as far as the slight risk area goes, you guys are going to be dealing with, again, 3 to 4 inches in a short amount of time. The northern plains area, you're going to be at the nose of a modest low-level jet. A short wave moving by the area may be all it takes to initiate a line of storms across the region, though there may be two separate rounds, one in the morning and a second Sunday night, so tonight. With most noted across, let's see, the southwest southern Rockies. Gosh, is it all the way back to the southern Rockies? Yeah, it is. So we got this area. This is a marginal risk, but the main area for the flash flooding is here, and then we do have this as well for the slight risk up in areas of Aberdeen. And if we play this through, you'll be able to see that right there. That's today. There's going to be a whole lot of moisture that's dealing with this, and it's going to be just kind of recycling over the same areas over and over again. So that's going to be risky for sure. And then as we get into tomorrow, let's take a look at the risks there. That risk for the flash flooding hydrological outlook shifts and basically stays over areas of Louisville, Maysville, Charleston, West Virginia. Going to be a lot of rain there as well. Do we catch any breaks for day 3? Goodness gracious, let's take a look at that. Day 3, we get the significant flooding risk that goes from Brooklyn Park all the way over to Grand Marais. I love that area. Fergus Falls, back to Fergus Falls and Houghton in areas of the Upper Peninsula of Wisconsin, right there. So all the way up to Thunder Bay, actually. So lots of moisture to end out our July. We'll go ahead and let you all go. God bless, stay safe, and make sure that if you have not done so, go ahead and subscribe. God bless.